Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'll go ahead and introduce our workshop speaker. I'm very excited to be having him today and learning more about sleep, the nervous system. I'll share a little bit about Space 2. We are a platform and virtual co-working community that weekly and monthly planning sessions, 15-minute goal setting sessions, and end-of-day check-ins, as well as body doubling to help you knock out those goals. We're like the gym for getting things done. And we also offer 1-month trials as well as free plannings every Friday and Sunday. So I'd love to see folks on there if you're not yet a Focus Space community member. I'll share a little bit more about Glen. Glen founded the Stamina Lab, which helps individuals improve focus, energy, and resilience through data-informed sleep and health coaching. And as a serial tech entrepreneur, Glen experienced firsthand how much poor sleep can impact health, decision-making, relationships. And so to solve that problem, Glen leverages behavior design that helps teams and individuals who want to take their professional and personal performance to the next level while improving their sleep, reducing stress, avoiding burnout, having more energy, and dropping into flow. So we're going to learn more about that all today. And with that, I will kick it off to Glen.
Thank you, Becca, for that great introduction. I really appreciate it. Let me get my presentation up here, and we'll get going. And I was reading here in the chat that I think one of the things that really stood out here is this comment about I have read a lot of books and know what to do, but doing it is another matter. And I think that really goes to the heart of what we're trying to do at Stamina Lab, is that we all get the prescription of what to do, but it's how we implement it in our lives is what the challenge is. There's plenty of information on what we should do, but how do we do it? How do we implement it is what we really try to work on. So we're going to start off the session by breathing. So this is the nervous system management part. We're going to be sprinkling it throughout here. But the first breath work we're going to do is called fire breathing. And this is going to help with our energy and focus and get us ready for this presentation. So I'm going to lead you through the fire breathing exercise. And I invite you to sit up tall in your seat, put your feet firmly flat on the ground for some grounding. Put your hands on your legs, palms facing up for uplifting or down for grounding, wherever you're at. And we're gonna do this. You can keep your eyes open if you want to, or you can close them, whatever feels good. But basically, we're going to do 12 breaths, and we're gonna do one round of this, and it's called fire breathing. So I'm going to demonstrate first. You're going to breathe in through your nose a bunch of times, and then breathe out. So that's it. If three in and then exhale. We're going to do that 12 times, and I'll count them off for us. So get ready, and we'll start right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. How do you feel? People report a little bit of lightheadedness. Definitely maybe heats up your body a little bit. And should be giving a little bit of a boost of energy. We're hitting the sympathetic part of our nervous system. And this is the gas pedal of our nervous system. This is what they call the fight part of our nervous system. This is what gets us up and moving. And we're just activating that a bit. And you can do that if you're starting to get a little slump in the afternoon, and you need a little bit of focus or energy. Before this presentation, I just did a little bit of it. I did it here again for this, so that way I'll be sharp for the presentation, and it helps with a little bit of focus, like I said. So that's one of the ways to boost your productivity is to use the nervous system to activate that sympathetic state of mind. And fire breathing, you can do those 12, and it's often recommended to do 3 rounds of those. But if you gauge your own body, like I said, if you're feeling lightheaded or it's affecting you in a way that doesn't feel right, then obviously you want to stop. But even 1 round like we just did will give you a little boost of energy and focus. So today we're going to go through the science of sleep productivity. We're going to start there. And then we're going to spend a good amount of time how to build better sleep habits using the tiny habits method. And then finally, we're going to go back to the nervous system and discuss how we can use it for optimal rest. And this will address some of the questions that I saw in here about being able to fall asleep at night, and then also when you wake up in the middle of the night and how to get back to sleep. So sleep and productivity. So this is a great area with a lot of research in it. And one of the things that really stands out is that when we get our full night of sleep, we are really able to be more productive, more creative, have better attention and focus. And that's largely because we're going through multiple cycles of sleep at night. And each time we go through this cycle, we get more and more depths of our REM sleep. So there's REM sleep and there's non-REM sleep. And there's more detail to that, but the REM sleep is where we really work on our cleaning out our brain. And our non-REM sleep is when we work on our physical body and how to replenish that. So we obviously want to have both. The first thing that our body does when we fall asleep is works on our non-REM sleep. The first cycle through is a really long, deep sleep and very short REM sleep. And then the next cycle, the REM sleep gets longer. The next cycle, the REM sleep gets longer. And the last cycle, the REM sleep is the longest. This is why you might notice when you are towards the end of your sleep, your dreams get more vivid and more real because we dream when we're in REM sleep. And if we have a shortened sleep cycle, a shortened sleep night, let's say we only get 5 or 6 hours of sleep instead of 6 to 8 hours of sleep, we're really missing that last cycle, and that's when we're getting the most REM sleep. When we are in our REM sleep mode, this is where we take everything we learned from the day and we put it into long-term memory in our brains. We also mesh it with all the frameworks that we've learned in the past, with all the new frameworks that we learned of the day to create new concepts and framing. This is again why we're dreaming. We're processing all this information and the things that we're doing. And this allows for more memory consolidation. And if you're remembering what you're doing, then obviously you can use that in the future. It allows for more creativity because basically when we're sleeping, our prefrontal cortex, this is the part of the brain that is our reasoning and our logic. And then there's the default mode network, which is the rest of the brain. And when they say I want to sleep on it, that's actually really a brilliant way to do it, because when their default network is running, this is what they call the genius lounge. Neuroscientists call the genius lounge, where the lava lamps come out and Einstein and Oppenheimer and Prince. You enter your genius into the equation there. They all come out and your brain, they start saying, okay, what did Glenn do today that we need to work on? What problems do we need to solve? And you have like a supercomputer of brain power in there that is working on it during your REM stages of sleep. And so when you come out the next day, you have better decision making, you have more creativity, because you basically have your genius lounge doing all the work for you at night. And then when you wake up, you have the benefit of the geniuses in your brain. They're all inside us. And you can try to access the default mode network during the day. Your daydreaming or even napping will allow you to do it. And so this really allows you to be more creative and productive. It also allows you to get into flow states more often. Flow is the ultimate state of consciousness where you feel your best and you perform your best. And this is where we did a research study at Stamina Lab where we took the Aura ring, which is a little sleep tracking ring that lots of people use. Mine's in the bedroom. And basically, the longitudinal studies show that the more REM sleep you get, the more likely you are to get into a flow state. So we tracked over a bunch of people over a 2-week period of time. We gave them a survey, a validated scientific survey on flow afterwards. And the most statistical viable data point was that REM sleep. So again, the more REM sleep you get, the more likely you are going to get into flow. And why do we want to be in flow? When flow, we have just an amazing amount of innovation, memory consolidation, creativity and innovation. These are all research that went into how much more powerful our brain is when we get into flow. And we're more likely to get into flow if we get into REM sleep. So I hope I made the case using the science of how much more productive and creative you can be. Happy to answer any questions at the end. I have some space over there. But right now, I want to ask you this question. This is a reflection question. On a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being your sleep is at its best, and not in the past, in the future, or whatever. For you right now in the stage of your life, or in the circumstances of your life, that's the 10. Where are you on that scale of 0 to 10? And you can journal this beside you. You can put it in the chat if you want to. But this is a reflection question for you to determine. And once you get that number, then I'm going to have a follow-up question. So write down that number somewhere so you have that number. Okay, so let's say you answered the number was a 6. Okay, a 3 is good. Okay, we can go with that. So Deanna said a 3, or Dara said 8. Great. Okay, let's do Justin 6, because that's where I was going to go with. So we're going to go with the 6. So now ask yourself, why aren't you a 5, or whatever your number is, less 1? Why aren't you that number? And start writing down, why aren't you that other number? So if you say you're a 6, why aren't you a 5? Well, I'm a 5 because I try to put my phone to bed at 9 o'clock. I'm not a 5 because I dim my lights in the evening. I'm not a 5 because, let's keep listing some ideas. Why aren't you that number lower? I wake up at the same time every day. I turn sleep meditation and fall asleep easily. 0 to 10, 10 being it's ideal for you right now. Not 5 because I use a sleep routine and have a fairly routine bedtime. I use a CPAP, would be worse otherwise. Okay, I use blackout blinds and sleep meditation. Great. So this scaling reflection question is a question we often use in our coaching programs, because it helps identify the strengths and skills and resources that you are already using. And in solution-focused practice, we look for those strengths and skills that you're already doing, and we try to amplify those. So the things that you're already doing, amplify those. Those are the easiest things to continue doing, or to do more of, or to build from. And we're going to talk about how to build habits. And one of the best ways to build a habit is to build on an existing habit you already have, because that's something that's already routine. Attaching to that routine makes it infinitely easier to build a new habit. So we always like to start with things that we're already doing well, and everyone just identified some of those, and also things that we enjoy to do. So let me move on to the next slide. And thank you everyone for sharing these. I don't know, Becca, if we can save this chat. I'd like to have these questions for myself as well. Okay, so we're just going to run through here a bit about the 8 components of creating good sleep hygiene and working on a wind down routine. And so these will give you 8 areas to explore of what you can do. And again, you want to look for things that you enjoy doing that are easiest to do. You're not going to start with the hardest thing. You want to start with the easiest things that you can do that can easily fit in your life, and use the strengths and skills that you already have identified to build off of those. So if let's just say Sound is going to be is going to be something that you really like, and you want to do some music or blocking out sound, and that's something you enjoy. Then that's something you want to start with. So let's go through this really quickly. First thing is nailing timing. Timing is really one of the first things you could do to really have a big impact on your sleep, because the consistency helps us with our circadian rhythm. And that's really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get on a consistent circadian rhythm that matches the circadian rhythm of your body. So if you can get up at a consistent time, that's going to do a world of good for you, because when you start your day with this wake up time, it's going to automatically get you better for sleep ready in the evening. Because when you wake up, no matter what time you wake up, and 14 to 16 hours later, your body's going to start producing melatonin to help you fall asleep. So it doesn't matter when that wake up is, it's 14 to 16 hours, your body's actually going to want to be a little tired. So nailing that timing is one of the first steps you could do to really have an impact on your sleep. Second is your environment. There's so much about our environment, and our environment is our spaces that we create. It's the people that are in our environment. It's the things that we have in our environment. Just really creating a sleep cocoon in there. I saw someone said blackout curtains on there. Excellent way to try to create that cocoon. You want to. I had a recent guest on our podcast that talked about neuroaesthetics, and I thought that was a really interesting field. Neuroaesthetics basically is the aesthetics of a space and how it impacts you. Does it have an inviting interest to you? If it does, then your body's going to say, your brain says, "Oh, that's interesting. I want to have more information. I want to go into that inviting area." So you really want to make this one of your most inviting places to go. You splurge on the nice sheets, and maybe a nice candle for the scent in there. Really make it a place that you're excited to go into, and only use it for sleep or sex, whatever, but not for other things, because your brain's making that association with your bedroom. So yeah, really get those nice pillows, get that nice sheet, make it just so that you're something that you really look forward to. Maybe you have a really good fiction book that you're reading that you want to have in there, something that makes you really excited for going to bed. I have two on the sleep cocoon for some reason. Let's jump to light. So light is really interesting, especially in the morning. So getting our morning light first thing in the morning, that sets the clock off and tells our brain, hey, we're starting this circadian clock. The clock starts in 14 to 16 hours later. We're gonna want to fall asleep. But getting that light to start the clock, when are you going to start the clock, is the key. And it's really getting outside for the light, because our windows filter so much of natural light. Even though it's the light could be coming in, it's still filtering it out. And if you are one who gets up, you're in your house, then you get in your car, you drive to work, everything is covered with a light, with window, you're really not getting enough sunlight to really make that circadian clock start. And in fact, I don't really even wear sunglasses anymore, because unless I want to look cool, but the sunglasses are, we don't get enough light. So just being outside in the light is important. And so, yeah, so I'm really, really keen on that. Looking at sunsets also is a trigger to say, oh, hey, the sunset is going down. It's that orange light that you're getting that says that's kind of the light you want to have in your evening lights, or dimming the lights, or if you have hue lights or one of those lights that change colors, having that orange color simulates that sunset and helps you in that falling asleep mode. Also, the other thing that I want to mention about light, and lots of people hear about light as, I can't read my iPad at night, or my phone, or watch TV because the blue lights are making an issue. And the most recent studies show that the early studies were about causation instead of correlation. So basically that meant that they didn't quite connect the dots on that. And when they did connect the dots, what they learned was that there's not enough blue light coming off of your device really to mess with your circadian clock. But what your devices can do is if you have a news alert that comes up and it says, tornadoes coming at you, at least that would be important to know, but that there's a, hey, work email ping that, hey, stress, anxiety type things. Those type of things will trigger your brain to want to start worrying and thinking. So if you have a favorite TV show that relaxes you and calms you down, yeah, then TV might be the new sleeping pill for you. All right, temperature, the debunked myth, yes. The temperature, so having it really cold, so like 67, 68 degrees, if you can, in your bedroom, it helps to signal the body, hey, we're going to go into cocoon mode, and helps the core temperature of your body drop down, so that way you can get in that hibernation stage. You can also do hot shower is interesting. You take a shower, you want to take a hot shower in the evening, because all your heat will come to the surface of your body, and then your core will also cool down. All right, food and drink. I think everybody knows if you're having alcohol too late in the evening, then it's going to raise the body temperature, which is what we just talked about, wanting to have a cool body temperature. And it's also going to raise your heart rate. And if you raise your heart rate, it's going to take really much longer for you to get to the lowest resting heart rate at night, and therefore it's going to take you. You're not going to get as much of that recovery sleep that you need to have, because you're not, when you might help you fall asleep or think you fall asleep, but you're really just going into a comatose state, and you aren't really going through those REM cycles that we talked about. So really, if you wanted to, having a drink at happy hour is actually the ideal time to have a drink, because you have enough time for your heart rate to come down and for you to be able to have a solid night's sleep. And if you have a tracker or whatnot, you know that if you have that, it says you didn't have as good enough sleep. And it's really because your heart rate is too high and you're not able to get into those good sleeping patterns. You really want to, if you look at your data, you really, like I said, want to have that lowest heart rate at the middle of the night, so you have got to that lowest point, and then you start that recovery back up. Let me see what else. Sound. So for sound, you want it. Some people listen to some sound, have sound machines. You're really trying to create these long, slow delta waves. That's really will induce that sleep and tell the Genius Lounge people to come out. They really like those long sound delta waves. I have an app called Endel, Endel, and it simulates the long delta waves that you need. It also is it can also stimulate theta waves, which is good for getting into flow state. So it's good for productivity during the daytime, and also good for sleeping in the evening. And I use it every night pretty much myself. Okay, same thing. Exercise is like eating or drinking. It's going to raise your heart rate. So just being conscious of when you work out before bed. If these things aren't impacting your sleep, then these are just best practices that we can use. And as a guide to figure out which things we want to do to help with our sleep routine, which finally, so let's talk about our sleep routine. Really trying to create a wind down rituals which we're going to try to make. That's why I was trying to have you highlight some of the things that you already do, because these are things we can build upon to create this ritual. Rituals then create a sense that our body's like, oh yeah, I've done this before. I know what I'm going to be doing. I know what's coming next. And that's all you're trying to do is give your body signals that says, oh, this is what's coming next. We're getting ready to sleep. We're getting ready to sleep. The more you do that, the more likely it is that you'll be able to fall asleep quickly. And doing some nervous system management, which we're going to talk about, is a great way to add that into your ritual. All right. Oops. Let's go out here. So we're going to talk about tiny habits for sleep. So if anybody's heard about the tiny habits, then you do good. But we're going to go through the whole method here. And basically, like I said, it's about taking an existing habit you're already doing and adding a new habit on top of that. So the recipe that I'm showing you here on the next screen is after I do an existing habit, I will do this new habit, and then I'll celebrate. Now, celebrating in the morning and the days different than you would want to do in the evening as you're winding down. And so, just a smile is a celebration. You're just trying to release a little bit of dopamine, and the celebration releases that dopamine. And what's happening is that dopamine is acting as a habit-forming neurotransmitter, and you're just creating a new little thread from A to B. After I do this, I do this, and you keep strengthening it every time, and you also keep strengthening it with emotion, having that celebration. It's creating a new habit isn't about how long you do it or even how many times you do it. It's how you feel when you do it. That's why having that nice cocoon bedroom in there brings you joy. Will incentivize these behaviors, and the celebration will also incentivize these behaviors. So after I do an existing habit, I will do my new habit and immediately celebrate. The key here is after I do my existing habit is it's really after something. So sometimes when I work with people, they want to say, before I go to bed, I will do this. Well, that doesn't work, because the way our brain is doing is after it finishes doing one behavior, it says, okay, what are we doing next? And that shift from one behavior to the other is where we have an opportunity. So after I do the existing behavior, you came up with a list of things that you're already doing now. That's a great place to mine for your existing behavior. I will do my next behavior. Let me give you two examples. After I brush my teeth and set down my toothbrush, I will take a deep breath of gratitude and then smile in the mirror. So that's doing a couple of different things. That's the new behavior is calming the nervous system. The gratitude is calming the mind with something that has helped you for the day. And then the smile in the mirror is the dopamine release for the celebration. And you notice how I wrote, after I brushed my teeth and set my toothbrush down. That's more specific than after I brushed my teeth. What's the last thing you do when you're brushing your teeth? That you are trying to get on the trailing edge of that behavior, because that's when you're switching context. And you're saying, okay, I finished brushing my teeth. Once I sat that toothbrush down, now what do I do? And so having that in play, what you want to do next tells you, oh, I sat my toothbrush down. I want to take a deep breath of gratitude and smile in the mirror. After I walk the dog and hang up the leash is the last thing of walking the dog. I'll fill a glass of water from my bedside. And then I can smile as well. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to create a tiny habit recipe for yourself. And put it in the chat. And then we'll look at a couple of them, and I'll help troubleshoot a couple of them, so that way you can see that how to continue to modify these recipes so that they are set up for your best success that you can have with this program. Again, trying to the trailing edge of the existing behavior. Picking something you really like and enjoy that you want to do. So give it some thought and come up with a tiny habit that you might want to do. After I do my existing behavior, I will do my new behavior. All right, Kayla, after I finish my morning pages, I will stretch and immediately give myself verbal affirmation and encouragement. So that's great. And that's good to point out here is that sleep, when you're working on sleep, is not just the wind down. It starts at the very beginning of the day, as we talked about, getting up and getting that sunlight, starting consistent wake up time. So that's why I like working on sleep, because when you're working on sleep, you're working on your whole day. How can I best set up my day for sleep? And when you put sleep at the center of your life, it kind of maps out how your day should go. After I turn on my star projector light, I will do a short breathwork exercise and immediately smile. Fantastic. After turning off the lights in my room, I will spray some perfume and immediately give myself a thumbs up. Oh, I really like that one. When you're trying to create behaviors, using all 5 senses is what you're trying to do. The more of the senses you use, the more it's going to connect with you. And aromatherapy or anything that uses the sense of smell is always an underlooked way to build that behavior. But again, it's going to have that inviting approach signal, is what they call it in neuroaesthetics. The approach signal by having that aesthetically pleasing, and that also includes your sense of smell. Try to turn my lights on. Okay. Night shift setup, water for AM, have by brush, teeth, wash face, and individual. So, Esther, I would encourage you to try to put that in this formula recipe here. After I do what, I will do your new thing. And so, when I read that nightlight, the first thing I read that was night in my head was someone had a night shift, or they do. So if someone has shift work, and that doesn't even mean to me you're going to a factory at night and doing a third shift. That could mean maybe you have a call with somebody in Japan, or you have something that's going to be later in the day than you want to have, or even in the middle of the night. So we should keep in mind that we're not trying to have the perfect sleep. I'm a sleep expert, and I still have bad nights of sleep. It's just then, I don't get stressed about it because I know that that's okay. And then how do I bounce back for the next day and get back on in the routine? And it's not about doing everything that we've talked about, but if you have something that is in your life that is that you have to do, then what can you do around it? Using the strengths and skills that you already have, and how can you do around it? After I brush my teeth in the morning, I will go to the living room and stretch. And I'll make myself breakfast. I love that. Nightlight. And again, Esther, I would welcome you to put that in this formula of your anchor, your behavior, and your celebration. It's also known as called anchor here, but it's also known as a prompt. So prompting you to do the next one. After I get out of bed, I will walk out my patio door and listen to the sounds of nature. Justin, that sounds amazing. I want to do that. And you get the sunlight there. All right, so those are great. Let me give you some examples. You guys got that really great down. So let me give you some examples. And we just did design our own tiny habits. These are celebrations. These are different kinds of celebrations you can do. Here's some examples of them. There's 102 here. Here's the first 50 if you want to take a screenshot of this. This gives you a whole bunch of different ideas. Like one of the ones I like in the morning is when my feet hit the floor, it says, I'm going to make today a great day. And then raise my hands. That's kind of like the victory Wonder Woman pose. And it also gives me an opportunity to do a little stretch there. So the prompt was after my feet hit the floor in the morning. That's the last thing I do to say, hey, I'm getting out of bed. And then I'm going to make today a great day, which gives me some agency over what I'm going to do for today. And like I said, some of these are great for the daytime. Feel gratitude might be a better one for the evening. A thumbs up. Yeah, those are all good ones. And then let me see another one here. These are the other again, using all your senses, your movement of your body, this all helps release that dopamine. Like you can sing, "Hey now, you're a rock star." Some hip thrust. There's some fun to do. And what's interesting is when you're going to do your habit and you have your new habit that you want to create, do it like 5 times in a row. With the celebration. If you do it 5 times in a row, first of all, see how good you're going to feel. If you do the celebration 5 times in a row, you're going to feel really great. You're going to be releasing a lot of fun dopamine into your brain, and it's going to help build that thread from the prompt to the new behavior by doing that over and over again. Also, if you forget that about your new habit and you're like, oh dang, I forgot you're laying in bed and I forgot to do my I said I was gonna, after I left the bathroom, I was gonna do stretching, and you forgot to do that, but you remembered later. Don't beat yourself up on that. Actually, that's going to be a feature because you remembered. So celebrate remembering, first of all, and then visualize yourself actually doing it. Picture yourself, oh, let me visualize myself leaving the bathroom. Let me visualize myself stretching out on my yoga mat, and let me visualize myself giving myself gratitude for that. Because even though you didn't do the actual habit, when you visualize doing it, it's still building that pathway between the prompt and the new behavior. So there's no failing here. There's just winning, because if you remember it, then you can just visualize it and get some of the benefits of building the habit out of that. So when building any behavior habit, I asked you at the beginning, what are your best hopes for today's session? The next question I would always ask, and when we do in our program, is what difference would that make for you? What difference would that make for you if you had more energy, or you didn't fall asleep at night, that you had more focus in your day, you have more calm nervous system? I'm just going back to some of the things in the beginning. What difference would it make? Because this helps with your motivation. When you feel like in the evening, you're definitely going to have less motivation in the evening than you have in the morning. So reminding yourself of what difference this is going to make to you. And the example I have here, I'm investing in my care for my well-being and my ability to rest. That's trying to create a identity statement. And then what one-time changes can you do to your environment to that? Once you do that one-time change, it sets up a whole lot of behaviors. So you don't have to actually rely on doing a new habit. You just did it one time. Let me give you an example of a one-time behavior. One-time behavior would be, okay, I want to get up at 6:45 every morning. So I'll go set my alarm on my iPad for 6:45. I'll have it set for starting on Monday through the weekend, or Monday through Friday. And then the alarm will go off every morning at 6:45. It's already set. I did it one time, and it allows me to have a consistent wake schedule, at least attempt at a consistent wake schedule by doing that one-time behavior. Another one-time behavior would be to buy yourself really nice, comfy pillows. Or one-time behavior would be to, again, create some sheets. So one-time behavior that you can do is a fantastic way to be able to start building your sleep routine, or creating things that you can do that will support your sleep. And then, like I said, design some tiny habits. Start off with 1 or 2 tiny habits. Again, building off of what you have. Don't do too many. 1 or 2, maybe 3 is like the best recommendation, because either you might have an anchor that doesn't match your behavior, or you decide, hey, you know what, I just don't like doing this behavior, and that's okay. Say if you want to get more exercise and you just don't like, and you start off like, okay, after I finish my work day, I'm going to go swim some laps in the apartment pool. But then you realize after a couple of days, you're like, I just really don't like swimming. And that's okay. Well, but what other behaviors can I do that I really enjoy that will still support my overall goal? I want to get more movement and exercise. Well, swimming is just one of those, but a bunch of different other ones that you could do to be able to get to the same outcome that you want to have. Because doing ones that you enjoy, you're actually going to do them, and you can build off of those. So, has anybody guilty of this view here? Yeah, and so like I said, it's not. I think one of the things that might stress people out is like, oh, I'm getting this blue light, now I can't fall asleep, and then you get in your head that you can't fall asleep. Well, as I said before, this is debunked. That the light is not going to cause it. But if you're scrolling through, doom scrolling through Instagram or TikTok, it is activating your nervous system. It is getting you excited. I mean, your nervous system. If you were using it to read a book on Kindle, I was reading Revolutionary War biography. That in like one page that always put me to sleep. So that's different because it was really just something that was calming and wasn't activating my nervous system. So one of the habits that I really like to recommend most often is after whatever enter your time. So I try to go to bed, be in bed, asleep by 10 or so. So I have a rule or a habit set up. Is that after 9 p.m. I'll put my phone to bed. I'll put my phone to bed outside the bedroom. I have my iPad in my bedroom for the lights and the no music, and to read on there. But my phone has a lot more alerts, a lot more things on there that could distract me. So I make it so that after 9 p.m. I'll put my phone to bed. And you can even say good night bed or good night phone. Tuck it in if you want to. There's little beds online you can buy. You can tuck your phone into the bed, and again, you smile and you laugh. That's creating a little bit of habit forming dopamine. It makes you more likely that you're gonna do that. And the way I prompt myself is I just set an alarm on my phone at 9 o'clock. The alarm goes off, and I was like, oh, it's time to put the phone to bed. So that because the night could get away from you, and that's why I really like little alarms, especially in the evening. To help remind you, oh, hey, yeah, jolt you out of whatever you're doing and say, oh, yeah, actually, this is the time I'm supposed to be doing that, and it really helps. I'm going to run through a bunch of different habits that you can take note of that can help you brainstorm with different ideas that you might want to do. So I'm going to run through some of these that will help you with different ideas. So pre-sleep habits is one. The wind down routines that we talked about, like just putting your phone to bed at night, and also don't think about emotional and thought-based habits because lots of time we get stuck in our head in the evening, and so it's really trying to give ourselves the opportunity to get that out of our brain, like writing down the things that are bothering you. This one isn't really interesting. It's like when you put your phone to bed, maybe that's when you write down the things bothering you an hour before you're going to bed. Not like right when you go to bed. If you bring up all those things right before you go to bed, guess what you're going to be thinking about? Those things you just brought up. So just like exercise or food or your phone, give yourself time after you do that intense exercise of your brain to be able to calm down and calm that nervous system. Yeah, so I'm just going to put these slides up here and go through them quickly, and you can take note of them or take some screenshots. After I close the door to the kids' room at night for their bedtime, I think of one thing I'm grateful for. I really like that because it's the closing of the door that says, okay, they're in bed. This thermostat one is good because for me, the thermostat is on the way between the bathroom and the bedroom. So that's what I call it, like pairing the behavior with the new behavior, the existing prompt with the new behavior. When you can pair those just right, it almost happens automatically. Your behavior happens automatically. I threw this slide here. It wasn't always in my slide deck here, but this shows you really in the morning what's happening. I told you about 14 to 16 hours after you wake up, melatonin starts to hit. So So here this shows that, okay, 9 a.m., you're when you first wake up, you're getting hit with some cortisol. That's to get you up and out of bed. Cortisol is like that's activating your nervous system. Just like we were doing that breath work at the beginning, the fire breathing, we were adding cortisol to our brain. This cortisol can also make you want to feel anxious, but it's just cortisol. So you can reframe that just the same way. It's like, oh, that's anxious, or am I excited? It's the same neurochemical that's happening in your brain. It's just what label do you put with it. If you're having a performance, whether it's like if you're an athlete having a competitive performance, or a musician, or even if you're doing a speaking or a big presentation like this, cortisol is going to happen in your brain to get you up and moving and get you focused. And flow follows focus. So you want some cortisol, and it's about how we're framing it and how we're looking at it. So that helps in the morning to get you up and moving. This is why they recommend not having caffeine first thing in the morning, because you're already hitting cortisol to wake you up. And if you have caffeine, it just prevents the cortisol from taking longer to dissipate in your body, because it needs to come down just as melatonin is starting to pick up. And that's when you get that ability to fall asleep with that melatonin. So that gives you a little bit of a neurochemical look at this program. All right, managing your nervous system. So we talked about this in the beginning, and this is about cortisol kicks in right away as soon as you wake up, and you can enhance it by doing that fire breathing piece. I mean, if cortisol didn't, you might not feel like super alert, but you wouldn't be awake if it wasn't for the cortisol. It's the one that wakes you up and says, all right, now I'm awake. And do I want to lay here in bed? You can override it and lay in bed, but it's once you get up, it's there. So it's usually maybe 90 minutes after you wake up, you can have some caffeine. So we talked about in the beginning of the nervous system, the sympathetic part of the nervous system, that's the get up and go. That's the gas pedal. Then there's a parasympathetic. That's the brake. That's the slow down. And so in the evening, we want to get more of the brake going, the more the parasympathetic nervous system. And we can do this by two different ways. We can do top down and bottom up. Top down is, all the things we were talking about, these habits that we want to try to create, the thinking part of our brain. How do we make that do? The bottom up is how do we do that with our nervous system? And that's about calming our nervous system down. I have a whole guide on how to do this. It's at sleep.staminalab.io. You can download this guide. There's different ways you can do that with the top down and the bottom up. We're going to do one of those exercises right now. And you can do it with your meditation, deep breathing exercises, progressive muscle relaxation, guided imagery, calming music. If any of you have some of these apps, they basically take you through some of this stuff. And I'm going to do one exercise through that book here as we get to the end. We're going to breathe again. So basically, to activate the parasympathetic part of our nervous system is to exhale longer. You don't need to leave that sigh or anything. That's really activating the parasympathetic part of the nervous system. So let's again sit up in our chairs, put our feet flat on the ground. This one I invite you to close your eyes. We're going to do a breathing where I breathe in for a count of 4. I'm going to hold it for a count of 4, and then I'm going to breathe out for a count of 6. So that the longer exhale helps us activate the parasympathetic nervous system. This is something to do if you wake up in the middle of the night. You could do this exercise, or if you're trying to wind down in the evening. So I'm going to begin. Inhale through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more round. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then back to normal breathing. Hopefully you didn't hit the brake too hard and now I'm falling asleep. because you can still be with me. Because I just want to end and tell you this one thing, that we want to approach this with an experimenter's mindset. Everything is an experiment. We have no failure. We're just experimenting and saying, oh, that worked for me. And that worked for me today. And I want to do that, or it didn't work. And what can I learn from that? It's the experimenter's mindset. And you want to keep that going. So you never beat yourself up because you're not doing something right. You're just learning to see what works for you. What works for you today might not work for you tomorrow, so you have to keep experimenting. And also, the anchors and prompts we have on the weekends might be different than on the weekdays. So you might have different, that's what I was trying to remember before. You might have different habit recipes for the weekend than you have on the weekday. I want to be able to support you doing this. And so we have a 2-week restful reset program that we do. It's usually a $29 program, $27, I think, to do. We're going to give it to everybody for free that's on this call today. And Becca, I know, put the link and the code in the chat. It's going to be in mid-July. We're going to do the 2-week session, and everything you learned today, we're going to build off of that, and I'll be along to coach you through the 2 weeks. There's little lessons every day, so you can go deeper on this. So with that, I'll go to any questions in our final minutes, and Becca, I'll let you tell me when we're done. So who has any questions? I know there was some in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that Esther asked about what kind of tracker. I'm not sure if that was about maybe an eye movement tracker or sleep tracker.
Well, the sleep tracker that I use is the Aura ring. It's a little ring that goes around your finger that has a bunch of sensors on that. I really like that because it has the lowest profile for your sleeping, so it doesn't like bother you when you're sleeping. Like your watch could get caught in a pillow, or any other band can get caught in the pillow or on the bed. The ring is pretty low profile. If you're sleeping with someone in the bed, it doesn't like scratch them or whatnot. So I really like that. One caveat about your wearable data though is, they give you your readiness score in the morning. Like I like to say is check in with yourself before you see the readiness score. What do you think your score is? Try to keep connection with your own body and not outsource it to an app. You can use that as a tool, but connecting with your own body. I feel like a 97 today. All right, well then let's go with that 97 rather than whatever the app might say. And in fact, if I have a big presentation or I race running races, so in the morning of the running race, I never check that number because I don't want something to get in the way of my focus or how I feel.
And then we had 2 questions from Anna. One was, how is Endel different than sleeping programs in Calm or other sleep programs?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know how they are different. I've only used Endel extensively, and I know that they've done a lot of science around the brain waves, and that's really the reason why I was talking about it around sound and really trying to get you into that correct brainwave state. But there's lots of things lots of tools that you can use to calm your nervous system. Like I said, it's if you're listening for meditation or guided imagery, or calming music, all those things are helpful to put on a break for your nervous system.
Yeah, if anyone has some that they want to share in the chat, love to see what folks are using. Anna's other question was, what happens to your nervous system if you wake up because of an alarm instead of at the end of a sleep cycle?
So if you're waking up and it's in the middle of a dream and you don't feel like you're at the end of your REM sleep cycle, then I think that's an adjustment to make. Say, oh, maybe I can't. This is not the time I need to be waking up. If you're consistently going to bed at the same time, and then that's your sleep length, and that means that, hey, I just need to adjust my alarm, or I need to go to bed earlier and move the whole thing earlier. And if you're supposed to sleep for if you want to sleep for 8 hours or 7 hours, depending on what your body is like, how you feel rested, you need to give yourself if I want to sleep for 7 hours, I need to give myself 8 hours of bedroom time in order to get my 7 hours. You don't just fall asleep immediately and wake up at the end, there's a buffer time there. So
that makes sense. And then looks like Kayla and Liz had 2 questions in the chat. So I'll start with Liz's first. How do you fall back asleep when waking up in the middle of the night? Breath work doesn't really help.
Yeah. So if you're doing the breath, you've tried experimenting with the breath work. If you experimented with progressive muscle relaxation, this is one of my most effective one. Is just relaxing each part of your body at the minute level, starting with your toes and your feet and working your way up. That's another tool you could use. But if you're in bed and you're not able to sleep for a long time, get out of bed. Go in the other room. Keep the lights soft. And this goes for even going to bed at night. If you're not sleepy, don't go in that bedroom, because we want to associate the bed with sleep, not with being anxious and not being able to sleep. And no, one night of bad sleep, there's no such thing as bad sleep. Any sleep is good sleep. Anything is good sleep. So keep that in mind. Like, okay, you'll be fine tomorrow. And you'll probably be more likely to go to sleep better the next day. If you're a athlete or and you're got a big competition the next day, or you have a big presentation next day, you're not going to get no athletes are going to get great night's sleep right before the big competition, but they still perform at their best, get their personal records, hit the best records. They do this because one night of sleep is not going to impact you. You're actually still going to perform at your best with one night of poor sleep, or sleep that isn't as your 10 that you want to have. So it really, just to give yourself grace and be like, oh, it's okay not to worry about it. And that might help you also with falling back to sleep.
Nice. Thanks for answering that. And it looks like Kayla's question was, is there a specific part of sleep hygiene to focus on tweaking if she's hitting the same slump every day?
Well, if you're hitting a slump every day, I would focus on what you can do during that slump of the day. There's a yoga nidra, or non-sleep deep rest, is a tool that you can use. That it's not a full nap, but it does hit you right on the edge of that, and that can refresh you. The fire breathing that we did. When you sign up for that restful challenge, you're going to get access to our app. Our app full of meditations and lots of breath works, including the NSDR program that you can use and you can listen to if you get a slump in the middle of the day. I think it's just really about activating your nervous system in that sympathetic state if you're hitting that slump.
Yep, and that link is right above my last message. You can also follow us on Focus Space on Instagram and staminalab.io on Instagram. And Glen's newsletter is really great. I've been a subscriber for the last couple months, learned a lot. And I can share that link to the challenge as well with the code.
I have one last question I'd just like to ask and this is to really solidify what you got out of this session and help for you to remember it. So my question is, what's one thing you heard yourself think or say during this session? One thing you heard yourself think or say to yourself or someone else that you want to take with you. And go ahead and enter it in the chat. And this will give other people ideas about what stood out to. One thing you heard yourself think or say during the last hour that you want to take with you. I was using more tiny celebrations in my life. Yes, and this recipe works for anything. So you can use it for any part of your life. Taking the time I have coffee in the morning, building the little celebrations. Yeah, the celebrations. All sleep is good sleep. I need my bedroom a cocoon. A wake up routine. Yeah, wake up routine. Start your day off. Sets you up for success. Practice 3 times in a row. I highly recommend doing that. It's so much fun. You feel so good after doing 3 celebrations and you have it in a row. Yeah, centering your life around sleep. And Becca talked about how I struggle with sleep when I was doing my last startup, and when it was only until I put sleep at the center of my life that things started to get better. Sleep isn't everything, but it impacts everything. So when you put sleep at the center of your life, you're really improving your entire life. Well, thank you everyone for your attention and sharing and being so cooperative and helpful in doing this collaborative together. And thank you, Becca and Focus Space for this opportunity.
Thank you, Glenn. We so appreciate it. So glad to be in community with you and with everyone here. And we'll follow up with the recording and more information about Focus Space and Stamina Lab, so you can keep in touch.
Everyone, sleep tight.
Thanks, Anna.
Sleep well tonight.